Hey, it's Jeff. So I was looking at Reddit and I found this question about statistics according to bishop pair advantage. And I know how to do these types of lookups in Chessbase, so I'm going to show you today how you would go about filtering a database based on a position and how you can see these types of statistics for yourself. And there are a lot of options you can do once you understand the filter methods with Chessbase. But I'll just get started really quickly. So the first thing we'll look at is when both sides have two bishops and there's some pawns, but there's no other pieces, no other queens, no other rooks. So we're just looking at endgames where both sides have two bishops and some pawns. So to do that, first I'll show you this mega database. It has a little bit over 8 million games. We can select all and then filter list. I don't know if selecting all is necessary, but so here we go. So we have bishop 2 out of 2. If you put 1 here, it'll show positions where it's either one side has 1 or 2 bishops. But if you put it like 2, 2, it'll for sure just have positions where your side has 2 bishops. And the same for black. And if you ignore colors, let's say you had 1 knight here and you ignore colors, it'll show sides where one side where white has an extra knight, and then it'll also show games where black has an extra knight. So if you turn off ignore colors, then you'll get exactly what you're searching for. And that's what we're going to do for this video, because when we're looking at different imbalances with bishops, say 2 bishops versus 2 knights, it's helpful to understand when you look at it from white has 2 bishops and black has 2 bishops. Because sometimes you might think, well, white has a first move advantage, so if white has 2 bishops, of course they're going to win more games. But we'll see what happens when black is the one that has the 2 bishops in that situation also. So here we have two bishops versus 2 bishops, and we're just going to click OK. I have an SSD, so it's going to be pretty quick. Or not. It won't take too long. It took a long time when I didn't have an SSD. So that's one thing where if you were on the fence about getting an SSD and you use Chessbase, it makes everything so much faster. So now we have 19,719 games. So out of that 8 million, and you can see if I click through, there's a Steinitz one here. You can filter by rating as well. You can filter to see all of Magnus's games and these types of endings. And it's a really good way to build up your quick understanding of certain types of positions. Like let's say you read about it in a book. Oh wait, there's okay. So this game, it didn't start at that position, but it will lead to a position where both sides have 2 bishops each. So that's the guarantee with this type of filter. So it's a good way to see, okay, which side tends to do better. Okay. But with all these games selected, we can just right click and press statistics. You can also do the shortcut S. And we see white scores 27.4%, black scores 23.9%, and draw 48.7% of the time. So a slight edge for white is understandable because it's like the first move advantage. There's no other type of force going on here. Like both sides have a bishop. It's naturally going to be mostly draws. And if anyone's going to have an edge, it's going to be white because they had the first move advantage in general. So with that, and I also have on the side, I have a list of the results, so I'll show you at the end as well. But next we'll look at knight versus knight. So we'll filter, get rid of the bishops. So 2 knights on each side. Okay, now you can see both sides have 2 knights. And we have 10,460 games. And this one is pretty much dead even almost. Well, draw 51.7%, white 24.1%, black 24.1%. So yeah, so with knights, it's way more balanced, you can see. Now we're going to look at two bishops versus two knights. And in this situation, like I alluded to earlier, we're going to do this search twice in a way, one from white's perspective and one from black's. So here white will have the two bishops and black will have the two knights. Okay, 6,211 games. So you can see the bishop here is starting to play a factor because we have two bishops versus two knights. White is 47.5% versus 21.5% for black. So that's a pretty big jump from what we've seen in the previous searches where they were equal for both sides. So that's the first indication that the bishop pair might be a force to be reckoned with. So let's see how much of that is actually from white having the first move. Like if we switch it around, have two knights versus two bishops. Let's see what happens. All right, we got 6,586 games. And look at that. Black scores 46.2% now, and white scores 24.2% with 29.6 draws. 29.6% draws, sorry. But you can see that even from being on the black side, if you have the two bishops, that gives you a huge advantage in the end game. They practically score pretty well. And again, you can, here's a, and you can just like go through the moves and see quickly like how they're doing certain things. You can even filter by specific pawns or specific squares and so on, or if a side, queen side, castle or not. So it's definitely something you can really look into. So let's see. So these were two knights versus two bishops, right? Yeah, so next we're going to look at two bishops versus bishop and knight. And we're going to say white has the two bishops. So one bishop, one knight for black. Okay, 46,000 games. A lot more than the previous one. This is a more practical situation. Part of the reason is they can have a light squared bishop and a dark squared bishop, like one or the other, and so that kind of also adds to the amount of possible configurations you can get, I think. But I guess it's the same with knights, because there are only two knights, only two bishops. So I don't know what I'm talking about, but we do see that white, two bishops, 41.6 versus 15.9% for black. And so if experience teaches us anything, when we flip it around and to give black to two bishops, there should be a significant advantage for black, yeah. So two bishops, take out the knight, one bishop, one knight. So black will have the bishop pair, and we're looking to see an advantage for black. All right, 44,000 games. Statistics. And here we have it. 39.6% for black, 18.8% for white. And you can do further analysis to see, okay, when white had the bishops, they were doing more than when black had the bishops, and maybe that's like the first move advantage difference. But you can clearly see if the question was statistics supporting the bishop pair advantage, and I think this shows it pretty clearly that just through a big database of games, if you just filter in games that reach a certain balance, you can see a clear bias towards a bigger score if you have the bishop pair versus if you don't. And when the position is more equal, like two bishops or two knights, then it starts to become more equal in general. It's only when you give one side the two bishops and the other side doesn't have the two bishops that it starts to become more imbalanced. In the worst case, I think, was probably when one side had 2 bishops and the other side had 2 knights. So there could be other factors in play. Like, this did just look at the end game and so on, but this gives a good like starting point into thinking about how useful the bishop pair is practically. So if you see a chance to get a bishop pair, or to try to save your bishop pair, try to keep some of these ideas in mind, especially if you're going into an endgame, because just that decision alone could increase your winning chances. Okay, hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.